Hey there, it's Jason. Welcome to the channel. I've got something really exciting today, an analysis of my first plus 15 run. This run had some really strong moments, some great teaching moments, and one death that still doesn't make sense to me. Let's get into it. Now, as the tank pulls together these first three packs for a large Bloodlust pull, we're immediately going to see debuffs come out on the Shaman, the Warrior, and then a couple seconds later on myself and the Warlock. Now, I do hold single dispels in favor of spinning through the damage to be able to pop Revival to mass dispel all of these. That allows me to save my Dwarf, which I will use here in just a second when I get another set of the debuffs on me and the Warlock, and then I can single dispel the Warlock. Reason being is that the Revival is not really needed for the next few pulls, most likely, and this is a great use of it here to save some GCDs. All in all, this was a great first pull, a great use of Bloodlust to get us 12% trash right off the bat and a good start to the dungeon. I am running a no Apex build, but I'm running improved detox for poison control, and I'm also utilizing pressure points for being able to soothe bloodlust, and we'll talk about that later in the dungeon. Now, as the tank pulls together these two pulls here, I am going to dispel the magic debuff off of myself and spin to get us topped off. We're looking here primarily at the Fervent Apothecary, who is dropping these files on us that do massive damage. In fact, at this level, we're in one-shot territory for any DPS or healer. You see the file fly through the air, the green circle on the ground. When that file impacts the ground, anybody within that circle is going to instantly die. So that's what we're looking for this pull, but we have several of these coming up, and we're going to revisit this later on in the run. Again, for this pack, nothing really new here that we have to tremendously worry about. We are again watching for the files from the Apothecary, and then we're utilizing Ring of Peace both from the tank and there myself to disrupt these casts to just reduce the damage on the group. All in all, very good crowd control from our group. We are going to jump down here, and I'm going to use a louder than air double jump to get right back into combat. Again, not a whole lot of extra stuff here to talk about. We do have the Behemoth, which is doing a lot of damage to our tank. But again, we're just really staying out of the stuff on the ground. The tank is doing an amazing job of kiting the mobs around the room effectively, keeping us out of the stuff on the ground. I am going to pop Life Cocoon on our Warlock here just to reduce some of the damage he's taking, and then we're really just avoiding the circles and the stuff on the ground. Now, as we roll into this next room, I'm going to make a critical mistake here. I am going to misroll, and I am going to end up in the circle from the file toss. But importantly, when you roll this back, you see here that I take 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 steps there from that circle, and when the impact of the file happens, the Warlock is even standing between me and the impact zone. I really don't have a clear picture of why this death actually happened. Logs show that it was file toss that I died to. Perhaps there was some snapshotting at some point of my location and where the file was. I really don't have any idea. But ultimately, I die. Here, the shaman dies as well to the same ability, but clearly at this point, the shaman was in the middle of the circle. We are going to finish off this pack. The shaman is going to Ankh, so did the death really happen? Yeah, we lost 15 seconds of timer at this point. We're 30-second deficit on our timer because of the 2 deaths, and we're down to battle res. Now, we're going to jump in here on Callus and Latch, our Derelict Duo. Really, the name of this game is about room control, just making sure that we're minimizing the impact that these poisons are having upon us in this room, because the caster boss here is going to teleport around the room at times, and we need to be able to have plenty of room to navigate all of this. She will cast these curses on 2 targets at a time. I don't have the ability to dispel this as a monk, but I can heal through it and also use things like Ring of Peace, Leg Sweep, even possibly Paralysis to crowd control the spirits. I am going to accurately get the hook behind Callus so that Latch pulls her in, interrupting the cast that she was attempting. And here I'm going to roll significantly out of range of all of my party. It's kind of a balance I'm trying to find of when should I take these abilities as far out as possible with the mobility that I have versus when should I kind of stay in close to be able to keep my party safe and healed up. This time I am going to stay in rather close. We're just going to take it pretty close there, and we are going to see here where these poisons, they don't persist through the whole fight. They are starting to dissipate, giving us some more room, which is encouraging. Our player there is going to go out to a distance and properly bait the hook, and we're going to continue on. I will say, as we're narrowing down to the end of this fight, this was a really good group that we had here. All pugs. We've taken our entire journey as a Mistweaver Monk this season from 0 to 3K to get our Keystone Legend last week, and then now we're working towards Keystone Myth with 3,400. And we've done all of that in pug groups. We have no organized group, no voice comms. We're just kind of doing this the best we can with a pug environment. Now, Callus is going to get pulled in here. She is going to go down momentarily before Latch. He is going to enrage, but only for about a split second before he goes down as well. And we will teleport back up to the top. Okay, so as we start down this second path of our journey through this dungeon, I am going to utilize Mana Tea to get myself topped off here. I am able to get completely full on my mana before we jump into this next pack. We do have another steward in the pack here, so we are getting pairs of debuffs again. And so we are dispelling those one at a time in this case. We do have another pair of them come out on us again because we did pick up another steward in that second pack the tank picked up. But we don't have revival to manage these at this point, and we have the time. We don't really have to worry about it. We just do single dispels, and if they pop on us, we've always got our dwarf racial ready to go. There I am going to pop dwarf, and then I will be able to dispel the Warlock. We are going to wrap up this pack here, and I'm going to touch death, the Groundskeeper, to allow us to move on. And the tank is going to kick off with a pretty decent sized pull. Most of the time you see groups will take these mobs here, these spiders, and they'll tank them at the top, deal with them, and then work their way down to the bottom. I was kind of surprised to see the tank just cut them down the ramp and into the next pack, preventing us from having to do a micro pull with 3%, 3.5 on the first set and another 3 on the second set. It allows us to combine them and really efficiently take them down, which is great because I can spin off of them very well. I can heal, keep us rolling. There's not a lot of danger with these as long as we stay out of the puddles on the ground. We can continue to do our dispels, and we're moving along really well. Now our tank is going to pick up this Lynx along with a few groundskeepers and trappers. We are going to keep dodging these traps effectively, and then the tank is going to take us on a pretty long journey here, just kiting from pack to pack, keeping us constantly full with mobs to be able to spin off of, which is great. I love the way the tank approached this dungeon. Really positive route, really efficient route, keeping us rolling through packs that we could efficiently spin off of, and efficiently do healing without having to break it up in many packs here and there. We are going to continue forward into this lasher. We are going to continue to spin and making sure that we are doing the Rising Sun kick every time that it comes back up, because it does give us the instant Shaylin's gift, which is important, as we say right here, for the shaman to be able to top him off instantly when he drops a little low. Now the tank is going to go ahead and pull this last pack before the bridge down to the boss. And as he does, we're going to get a bunch of fire spits and spore dispersals that are going to come out. And I make a mistake here. This warrior death is on me because I just tunneled. I was focused on spinning. I didn't take the time to properly triage the damage here and do what I need to do to keep the warrior alive. So it is something with Mistweaver that I have a habit of just getting stuck in that spin to win mentality, and I don't stop to properly triage at times, something that I'm working to get better, and I'll have to get much better at to be able to progress forward to Keystone Myth and beyond. Now I am going to drop down here. I am going to start the role play. I did put Life Cocoon on the tank just to kind of give him some breathing room as I went down there. Not that Life Cocoon is heavily efficient on a tank. Most of the time I see tanks will pull these packs to the bridge, which allows me to get down there, start the role play without having to be very far away. This time I kind of took a chance. He was tanking pretty far back, and I wanted to get that role play going, and the lock got pretty low there, but we were able to keep it rolling. As we come in here on Emberdawn, Emberdawn is already ready to go because the role play is out of the way. We will pop Bloodlust, get that rolling, and our shaman and our warlock are both going to take the debuffs out, drop the fire puddles so that the tornadoes start from the edge of the room, which is great. Gives us more time to prepare for them to get into range and allows us time to adjust. This fight is all about just staying on top of our single target rotation, making sure that we're keeping Renewing Mist on all of our players, getting somewhat better with that, making sure that we get the uptime that we need on our players with our with our Renewing Mist as much as possible. And as long as we do that, really at this key level, what I find is that just doing that single target rotation will carry us through. Now, I do occasionally have to step out to drop puddles, and I will move into caster rotation with Shaylun's Gift and such, and that's fine. But as long as we can stay in range, we can keep our Renewing Mist refreshed with our standard rotation, and we can continue to keep everybody topped up. I will drop off this puddle here and top up the warrior as I roll back in. We will continue to whittle down Emberdawn here. She will, of course, flee at 4%. So we only have 1% here to go, and there she goes down. And then we teleport back up to the top. All right, as we take this last route through the dungeon, the tank, again, I can't say enough, just a masterclass in tanking here, pulls all of this together in one single pull. There's not a lot that we have to worry about here. The charges from the phalanx breakers and the stuff on the ground, all of this is avoidable. Now, sure, there is miscellaneous damage that we have to deal with here, and that kind of takes care of itself with spinning, as you can see here. But all in all, it's a great pull to pull together, and about 10% of trash here, maybe a little bit more. We're going to end this pull at, I think, about 84% trash done. And so we're in really good shape. We really only have 2 more pulls to go before the final 2 bosses. I do misplace my ROP there and kind of send the archer flying off in a bad direction. Take care of him there a little bit, and then touch of death him to finish him off. We will take down the breaker here as well, and then we'll move on at 84.6% trash into our final 2 trash pulls. Now, this one was a really fun pull that the tank pulls together. He takes us all the way to the Phantasmal Mystic, and the Phantasmal Mystic has an amazing ability here that we get to interact with. As he hits 50% health, he will cast Ephemeral Bloodlust. Just exactly like our Shaman's Lust that we've utilized a couple times in the dungeon. You see here it on screen, 35% haste for 15 seconds. Thankfully not the 40 that we get, but you will see the buff there on them. It's on all of the party members, as you can see here from Warcraft logs. But notably, the Phantasmal Mystic only has it for 1.8% of the uptime that the entire group does. And that's because, as you'll see here, that buff disappears off of him. And that is because, again, from our excerpt here, our tank is soothing that bloodlust off. This is the reason that we took pressure points in our talent tree, is to be able to soothe bloodlust off of our targets. All right, we're going to wrap up this pull here, and interestingly enough, the tank is going to back pull. He's going to grab a couple of wargs here, and I'm not really sure why, unless funnel, maybe. It's the only thing that really didn't click with me about this route, because as maybe you can barely see on my screen there, and you'll see more once we finish this pull. We end up about 3.2% over on trash, and those wargs were less than 1. So we didn't need them. Did it give us more funnel to take down these targets? Potentially. Maybe that was the purpose behind it, but all in all, it really wasn't a big deal. It was barely a blip in our otherwise efficient run. Now, Commander Kroluk here, really the things I'm looking for from a healer perspective is just making sure primarily that my tank is topped off. We do go a little bit low there because we're dodging the rubble falling from the ceiling, and you know, with the rubble falling from the ceiling, it's very easy to tunnel vision and say that we need to get in and address the fear. But there's a little bit of a gap between the final rubbles falling and the fears that will come out, usually about a second or so for us to get in position. So sometimes it's better to find a clear spot away from the rubble, plant, wait for those to fall, and then do micro adjustments to get into range of the boss or range of the other players for the fear mechanic. Now, as far as the mobs go here, this is great for a Mistweaver to have all these targets to spin off of and just top the group back up. They don't last very long, so they don't do a tremendous amount. Thankfully, our Mystic here seems to have forgotten how to cast Bloodlust, so we don't have to deal with that on the boss, but we're able to just continue progressing on. The tank will take another rampage hit here. Brewmaster is so tanky this expansion, or this season particularly. It's great to see, and you know, here we are going to stack in for the fear. Everybody planted pretty good there. We didn't take a lot of damage from that falling rubble, which is great. Now, importantly, the Rallying Bellow here that the boss casts is not timer based. It is percentage based. So he will pop his Rallying Bellow at 66% and 33%. So we'll never see more than 2 of these in a pull. But we will continue to whittle him down here, and we will have some more rubble fall. We will also have this fear. In this case, there wasn't much rubble where we landed, so this was great for us. Continue to be able to do the DPS that we need to without having to worry about the fear. And this boss is going to go down, and we're going to teleport back up to the final boss, Restless Heart, where we have a little bit of an interesting couple of things to talk about. All right, as we land here and we enter this room, one of the first things that I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply Renewing Mist to myself, the tank, and the shaman. We're going to wait out the roleplay, which will take just a second. And the first thing we're going to be looking for here is the boss's ability, Squall Leap, which should show here on the screen in just a second. And there it is. With Squall Leap, you can see that there is a initial burst of nature damage followed by a ticking nature damage dot or debuff that gets applied to all of us throughout the rest of the fight unless we intentionally drop it. Now, as you can see here in Warcraft logs, this is an excerpt of our logs from this run, and you can see we're taking pretty high ticking damage throughout this, and a lot of our DPS is taking it through the whole fight. And in this initial burst, you know, we're taking, any of us are ranging from 30 to 40k damage taken per second. Now, here in the second segment, I will drop my debuff, which means I'm not taking any damage from that. And the Warlock will do the same, and I will do the same in the third set of debuffs. How we drop that is the arrows that will be dropped on the ground, and we can use those to launch up into the air. When we get launched up into the air, the debuff drops, and we'll show that as we progress on here in just a minute. But the point is that this damage that we're taking is completely avoidable outside of these short burst windows where the dot gets applied. Now, if I look at a log from a plus 14 that we had with a little bit different comp, we do a much better job in this run of dropping these debuffs. Initially, we hold on to these a little bit longer, mainly because we're in Bloodlust in that run, and Bloodlust carrying us through the debuff is fine. That will carry us through. We don't really have to worry about it during Bloodlust. It's better to pump the damage into the boss. But when we get into the later phases, when the damage is ramping up and we're dealing with a lot more, getting rid of that debuff becomes more important. The tank carrying the debuff throughout the whole fight, not an issue, nothing to worry about there. But for the rest of us, we can reduce the pressure on the healer, on myself, and other healers out there if we can just manage that debuff appropriately. Now, the counterpoint to that is that when you drop the debuff, you are going to leave a puddle on the ground, so you have to worry about that. But I want to show you how we drop those, get rid of those puddles from the room with another ability that we'll look at here in just a second. So let's get back to the fight. All right, so as we get started here, you can see the debuff as the icon of the little storm orb above our heads, as well as the debuff in an upper left-hand corner. We are going to get Billowing Wind, which will come out, and we are going to use the arrows to leap over the circle of the wind, which will clear our debuff, but also leave the puddles on the ground that we talked about here. We are going to activate Bloodlust, which will carry us for a while. So again, Bloodlust, we're okay with a dot, but you are going to see here where I am going to take this second dot that I have, and I am going to get rid of it just to reduce the damage on myself. And then we're going to continue on. Now here is the Gale shot that I was talking about earlier. Now I do a terrible job of placement of this. I should be trying to clear the puddles with that Gale shot, as the rest of the group did a really good job with it. But that is the goal, is to get the debuff, pop up in the air with the arrow, and then generate the puddle. And then when Gale shot comes out, make sure that we're covering enough of the arrows to clear the room so that we can make sure that we maintain our space needed. Now, as we take this debuff here and we'll wait for Bellowing Wind, I am going to leap over, but unfortunately the warrior is going to go for the same arrow. I could have pinged to potentially let him know that I was going to be taking that arrow. He didn't see it in time, and he didn't have time to avoid it. He took the big ticking damage from the dot from the circle, which at this key level is about 200k, and that is just not sustainable no matter how much healing that we do. We are going to clear here with another Gale shot. Again, not a great placement from me. Now we're rotting pretty hard here from that dot. Bolt Gale is going to give me a little bit of breathing room, so I hit Fort Brew and try to squeeze in some Shaylin's gift casts. But that shaman is still getting chunked. And once Billowing Wind overlaps with that dot, the damage really gets out of hand too fast. So the big takeaway here is just making sure that it gets cleared, because if it doesn't, the end of this pull gets way scarier than it needs to be. But still, really great run, great group, great DPS, great tanking. Our very first 15 on the way to Keystone Myth. I really appreciate you watching. Have a great one.